What's up, Commanders fans? I know last year we did something that was unbelievable. We got to the NFC Championship in our very first year with a rookie quarterback and honestly a new regime all over. And the thing was that we wasn't supposed to make it that far. And I think about because of the things that we had around Jaden. We had a rookie left tackle. We had low tier second wide receivers. We had guys that were all just new, right? We had a lot of free agents. We had a team that you felt like wasn't even supposed to make it to the playoffs. And we ended up making it to the playoffs, not just because of our quarterback, but because everything around our quarterback, right? And everything that was building up our quarterback to be not only good, but great. And you think about what we had last year and where we left off last year. We left off in the NFC Championship against the Eagles. And we think about what was our huge and major problem, right? The major problem was, guys, we were mediocre. I'm going to give you that. We had De'Ami Brown. We had Olamide Zaccheaus, Jamison Crowder, right? And Luke McCaffrey in his very first year. And we had Terry. Terry's dominant. But I'm not talking about Terry. I'm talking about the other wide receivers we had under Terry. And the fact that they were mediocre. But we were still able to get to the NFC Championship with them. And that goes to show you that Jaden Daniels is elite at the quarterback position because he was able to make it with those guys. He was able to put up 30 a game with those guys. And let's not, forget about the running backs that we had. But let's highlight the fact that he was able to still get there to that high level in the NFC Championship with the wide receivers that he had. Now imagine what we have this year. We have KJ Osborne still there. We have a guy like KJ who is tough. He's a strong wide receiver to have. And I think now that we have what we have, I feel good. I honestly feel good at the wide receiver position. If we were to go into the playoffs this year, I would feel good because we not only have him, then we brought back Michael Gallup out of retirement. He came out of retirement to come and play with Dan Quinn. And not just Dan Quinn, he's also inspired by everything that's been going on because of Dan Quinn, and also the guy that we got in the very first round with the second pick, Jaden Daniels. So think about that. Think about how inspired he feels to play for Jaden Daniels, and then he feels like he can take us to that next level. So Michael Gallup, a guy that was also with Dallas, with Dan Quinn, and he was also a 1,000-yard receiver at one point in time. And, before CeeDee Lamb pushed him out of his position. But he was also one of those guys that could give us 1,000 yards, So I can see, and then, in his later years, of course, he hasn't played. He's a year removed. But he's shown that, he can play at a high caliber level, and then he's one of those guys who's really good with sideline catches. And I'm glad that we have him there. And I think if I was to break down every single player that we have at wide receiver, I'm so excited. My bad, y'all. But if I was to break down every wide receiver that we have right now, you'll see the value in each and every person and how we're elevated from last year. Like De'Ami Brown, we looked at him to be our Deebo Samuel. He was a guy that we was trying to get to do runs in the backfield, also catch the deep passes, just be that Deebo Samuel. And now that we have that Deebo Samuel, we don't have to look for it in a guy that's not that, And, of course, I felt kind of bad that we finally got De'Ami Brown to be that De'Ami Brown that we thought he was going to be coming out of North Carolina when he first got here. And, now he got shipped off, and he decided to go with the Jaguars, and we didn't want to overpay for him, of course, because we didn't get to see many years of him playing at that level. We got to see one of them. So I was kind of upset because I wanted to see that chemistry that he built with Jaden continue. But shoot, Jaden did it with those guys. He can do it with anybody. So why not reliable people that have been at these, at these points in their careers where they've been that second wide receiver before. They've been that first wide receiver before. Guys like Deebo Samuel, he was he was that guy when he was at San Fran. And they used him any and everywhere they could, especially out the backfield. So to have Deebo here, a player that went to the Pro Bowl, to have KJ Osborne, Michael Gallup, to have Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown back, to have these guys and Luke McCaffrey, we still got another spot open. Of course, I'm sure we're gonna add way more than that in wide receiver, but I feel like these guys are solid right now going into the draft. These are some solid guys. You got KJ Osborne, 5'11", Luke McCaffrey, 6'2", Terry McLaurin, 6 feet, Deebo, 6 feet. Who else? We also got Michael Gallup, 6'1". These some big ass guys. These some big people to have at our wide receivers position, in our wide receiver room. And I just feel confident because each of these guys brings something different to the table. You got Terry, who's a deep threat and also a reliable guy who always come in clutch when you need him. And he's fast. And Deebo can pick the speed up, but Deebo is also a tough wide receiver like KJ Osborne, who's going to get you some yak, who's going to get you some extra yards, who's going to knock some guys out for you and have guys thinking twice when they decide to tackle him. You got Michael Gallup, a great sideline catcher, a guy that can get them 2 feet down when you need him in clutch moments. And then you got KJ Osborne. I said that. He's a tough wide receiver. Luke McCaffrey, he's coming up in the ranks. He's young. He's a good talent to have because he's a great special teams player. He's a good kick return player. And the reason I say that is because, one, he's way better than what we used to have. Do y'all not remember what we used to have? I'm not talking about Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson was good at kick return. Not talking about Austin Eckler. I'm talking about back in the day when we had Dax Milne, who couldn't get us anything. And we continue to go into each and every season with him. Y'all don't remember those days, but man, I still feel like Luke McCaffrey is way 10 times as better than Dax Milne, and he gives us more. And I don't think he's going to be our bona fide kick returns specialist, but he is a good backup to have right now. And right now it's Austin Eckler's job. And I'm still glad we have Austin Eckler. I don't know what we're going to do with the running back group going into the draft, or I don't know if we're going to get some more capital, seeing we only have 5 picks going into the draft. Are we going to give up some more guys? Are we going to trade some more guys? If anybody, I feel like only Brian Robinson is probably going to get traded. I don't see anybody else I feel like we should give up. But if we were trying to look for some more draft capital, I think we can give him up for a nice 3rd round pick, seeing that he was worth a 3rd round pick. And, that's something that Adam Peters does so well. He knows how to get rid of guys. He's not scared of getting rid of guys. He's not scared to make the tough moves that guys really never even thought about, like getting rid of Jahan Dotson. And, that's a move that we really wouldn't have did, releasing Jamin Davis. And then before they even traded Jahan Dotson, they tried him out any and everywhere on the field. They had that man running every play in the preseason just to make sure they wasn't getting rid of a guy that really had a lot of talent that we could use. But honestly, now that we got rid of Jahan Dotson, I felt like If we still had him, he would be perfect. And the reason I say that is because the thing we're missing at wide receiver is a shifty back. We need somebody that can give you something to worry about, you know? We need that Zay Flowers, you know? We need that type of wide receiver. Because we have guys that are tough, that can, do well at, trick plays, and that can be a deep threat. We got that. But we do need a shifty guy. And I can really see that in whoever we decide to get in the draft. But for right now, I don't see that shifty person on our roster right now. But that's not to say that we're not going to go out into the draft and get that person. But if we were looking for something, it would probably come out of the draft. Anybody shifty. But I don't know if our boy's still out there. He went to the Browns last season. Elijah Moore. I don't know if he's still out there, but if he is, I would definitely go out and get Elijah Moore. He's definitely a shifty one. I would consider him to be shifty enough. But hopefully we decide to go out and get him. I'm not sure if he's already gotten already. I haven't heard any news on him, but he's definitely a guy I would want to get. But right now, our wide receiver room is nasty. It's looking good. Nasty in a good way. Like, I feel good. I feel good about these guys. These guys have been proven over the years that they can show up and show out. And, our wide receiver group is like 28 and up. The only person 28 is Osborne. And these guys are like, 5'11" and up. And height don't mean everything. Weight don't mean everything. But, what they've proven over the last few years and being in the league, shown that they're reliable veterans that can show up. And them being in the same locker room as Luke McCaffrey is only going to make him go up. Luke has shown that he can do good in space. He can find open spaces. And, another person that can teach him how to do that is Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is nasty. He's nasty with it. He's I don't know if everybody want to give him this, glory, but in my opinion, he's our Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, even though he's getting older and he's old, he still knows how to find open spots. He knows how to build that relationship. He's built that relationship with the Chiefs quarterback. What his name is. I can't think of his name right now, but he's built that chemistry with him over the years, and he knows, all right, cool, he's going to need some help here. He's going to need some help now. If I get right here, boom. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's a thing. I always keep bringing it up every video. Chemistry. And imagine what has happened for Jaden in this 1 year with Noah Brown, Zach Ertz, 1 year with Terry McLaurin. Imagine what happens when he builds this chemistry with these guys this offseason. And he's already hit up Michael Gallup and said, hey, bro, what you doing? I'm gonna let you know when we working out. I'm gonna need you to be there. Just already getting in the mode of, all right, this is what we got to work on. This is what I'm good at. This is what we can do. And that's all it is chemistry. Once you build that chemistry and then you start to build that understanding of, all right, cool, this is what this guy does well, this is what this guy does well. If I'm in danger, this is who I'm going to pass it off to. And I know he's going to have my back. So that's what I'm feeling good about. These guys have been built. They've been playing in the league for a very long time to where they understand what it means to be okay with just adding to the team, just helping the team. Noah Brown is comfortable with just helping the team. And Noah Brown is one of those guys that can get us more PIs. When we can't get the ball rolling and we can't get a guy open, he can get us a PI, get us down the field, get some more yards. It's not always about having that guy that's really good at, getting open. It's a guy that knows how to draw the flag. And then another thing that's clutch for the Commanders is that they decided to pay Deebo Samuel $17 million up to $20 million. And that's And that's something that he didn't expect, and that motivated him for this year even more. He was already motivated. He was already working out this offseason. But now, them going out to do that, to motivate the guy, to saying that we believe in you as our wide receiver too. And he's coming here to be what Curtis Samuel was supposed to be, or Curtis Samuel was for us when we had Turner. I can't think of his name, but our offensive coordinator, Turner, was here, and how he used Curtis Samuel. I'm so excited, I can't think of nothing right now. But man, it's so much to look forward to, and our wide receiver room is way better than we were last year already. These are guys that I feel confident in, and these guys all have something that sticks out a little bit more than others. And us just having a whole off season with these guys, another season with these same guys, allows Jaden to have a good year to his second year, and it's everything he needs. So let me know how y'all feel about it. Who do y'all feel like we should go out and get? It's still free agents out there. Like I said, Elijah Moore. And I feel like if we don't go out and get some free agents out there that's shifty, it's going to come in the draft. And do we have enough draft capital? Are we going to hit on these picks? Adam Peters has hit on the last picks that we had last season. And, the move that he made by, last season, trading with the team to get some extra draft capital in the draft, especially the second round last season where we got 3 picks instead of 2. So, we had so many picks in the first 100 picks. Who knows what he's going to do this time, Are we still going out to get an edge rusher in the first round? Or are we going to still have a chance to get Trey Hendrickson? What is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? It's all over the place right now. Are we going to trade Brian Robinson during the draft? What's going to happen? It's so much in the air, but I feel much more confident in our offense. I've already was confident because we were able to move the ball where we needed to. And then think about Debo being there. That's everything that we were doing last year, but even better. And who knows, Cliff Kingsbury was thinking this. He was probably like, yo, I can't wait I wish I could get Debo on my team because the things that I'm doing with Diami is not as efficient. Whereas if I got Debo on my team, imagine where I can go with this team. And look what happened. He got Debo on the team. Of course, it's not end all to be all, but it's much better than Diami. Diami was good, but he wasn't great. And I felt like there was a lot more on the table that we could do with Debo compared to what we did with Diami. And I wish Diami all the best, but he's not here no more. He's with the Jags. And we're going to see what happens. And, of course, we know the biggest problem for us last season, another big problem was defense. We wasn't a top 10 defense going into the playoffs. And that's something that kept us from being great. We wasn't good at stopping the run. So we got rid of a guy like Dante Fowler. We didn't feel as invested in him as he felt in himself. So he went with the Cowboys. And out of all people, our rival. But, man, it's a lot of moves that have to be made, hard decisions that have to be made to really show what we need to be, to really allow us to be the team that we want to be. We got to go out and do these things because if Adam Peter doesn't do these things, we're not going to be the team that we want to be, that we need to be, that we've been trying to be over these last plus years with Dan Snyder as our owner. And as Ron Rivera as our head coach, he wasn't doing the things that needed to happen. He just assumed just because they first round draft picks that they were going to be clutch, that they were going to be what we wanted them to be, but they wasn't. And it wasn't just happening. It wasn't happening with Jamin Davis. It wasn't happening with Emmanuel Forbes. It wasn't happening with Jahan Dotson. It wasn't happening with Chase Young. And just because you got him in the first round don't mean anything. And you see we let go of Jonathan Allen. And a lot of these guys just wasn't cutting it. And of course, Jonathan Allen was different. It was the fact that he was just going to be too expensive going into this next season, and seeing that we have to allocate the money in other areas. And we were able to save $15 million compared to what we got with Kinlaw. 45 for Kinlaw, and it would have been 60 for Jonathan, seeing that he went to the Vikings. So it's a lot of small moves that we got to congratulate. The fact that we got Laramie Tunsil, that was a big move. People think it's not because he's old, but I guarantee it's a clutch move. And you got to think about how old is the 49ers left tackle, Trent Williams. And he's still going. He's still a beast. And he's still going to Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl. Sooner or later, he may be retiring, but he's a beast. Even after having surgery on his head, on his brain, I believe, still going off. And, bruh, it just goes to show that just like, all right, cool. And I want y'all to understand the Laramie Tunsil trade, it's even better for us because Laramie Tunsil, he was with a non-mobile quarterback for a while and still making it to the Pro Bowl. Of course, he had a lot of penalties, but he's gonna do better on that. He still went to the Pro Bowl. So look, the way I see it, and then the thing, I don't even care about the penalties because honestly, the way I see it, regardless of that, I'm gonna keep your ass from getting to my quarterback, regardless, and I love that. Even if I gotta get penalties for it, you're not touching my quarterback. You're not injuring or going to have a chance to injure my quarterback. So that tells me a lot, and I love to see that. I love them penalties. I don't care what nobody say. And then the fact that Jaden Daniels is mobile is going to only benefit him even more. That's less sacks on his chart. So I'm excited to see what happens, man. Like I said, this wide receiver room is way better than it was last year, and it's only going to go up from here. And all we need is a shifty wide receiver, and we're done. Let me know how y'all feel. I'm out.